Going on, college football fans, or if your team just needs an NFL QB right now, we're here to talk about what's going on in the 2027 QB draft class. Dante Moore looking like he could be the number one pick this year. A lot of people's eyes, if Arch Manning has a Joe Burrow year, goes 16-0, he could be the number one pick if everything goes out right with him. Jaden Maiava, the nation's a little sleeping on Jaden Maiava, but let's kind of trace back to 2026, 2025. I love to pull up this tweet. It says Dan Orlovsky and Todd McShay. They were the ones saying that last year's draft class could have been all this and that, but it's looking like 2027 with all the pieces that are coming. We're going to get into the names in a little bit, but if you're tuning in right now, thank you so much. Go ahead and do all the YouTubers say. I'm not going to say it, but Dan Orlovsky in this tweet coming with, he finishes the tweet saying 2026 could be a loaded draft class, saying Arch, Drew Aller, Lenora Sellers, Garrett Nussmeyer, Nico Imayava, Kay Klubnik, Sam Levitt, John Mateer, Carson Beck, Dante Moore, and Malachi Nelson. Now, I don't even know why he finished the tweet with Malachi Nelson. Like, we know he transferred from USC to Boise State and then goes to UTEP. Still with UTEP, could have came out of last year's draft. No, I'm not following what he's doing, but if he stayed at UTEP another year, hopefully he can be like a late round pick. Hopefully you can get some eyes on him. But yeah, as you guys probably already know, Drew Aller, Garrett Nussmeyer, Cade Klubnik, Carson Beck all came out this year, but it wasn't, they didn't have the years they wanted to. Garrett Nussmeyer underperformed, Drew Aller underperformed, and then Cade Klubnik all underperformed because all those teams were, I wouldn't say LSU, but Penn State and Clemson had national championship expectations on both of those teams because of where Penn State finished, and then they lay an egg. But I thought they should have kept. This is just a side note, but I thought they should have kept James Franklin. Just gave him another year because James Franklin didn't throw those picks in the national in the semifinals games, but. We'll see because Drew Aller, they had to start him. I think it was just senior priority. We're not going to bench you because you're a senior and all that. You lead the team. So I don't think James Franklin would have done that to Drew Aller, but just wait and see. Get another quarterback in there with Penn State, see how it goes. But they cut him, cut ties. He's at Virginia Tech. We'll see how both of those programs do this year. But Dante Moore coming in. Oh, well, let's get into these names though. There's so many names, bro. I'm not gonna get into every quarterback because there's just like too many guys that just have so much potential in this year. But we're just gonna list them off real quick, y'all. So let's start off with Byron Brown. We got him coming out from USF, transferring to Auburn. 6'4", 6'3", 230 quarter, built like Cam Newton, really stocky, really big guy. So we'll see how he does. Runs the ball. A lot of people were making jokes about how he was throwing the ball coming into Auburn. Some clips coming in there. So, but I think him and Golish. I think they're going to work to his strengths. They're not going to overperform. Long. I don't think you're going to see like deep balls down the field. If they got one, you might see a couple here and there, but that's not going to be their game. But like Tennessee, they're not going to be no Tennessee offense. So we'll see how Byron Brown does with their offense because I think he's a senior. He has to come out this year, so maybe at best third round pick if he has a good year, I would say. But fourth, sixth round, that's where we probably see him. But Julian Sane and CJ Carr would put them in the same boat because I don't think they would. I don't think both of them would come out this year, and it's just such a loaded class. Like, why would you come out? You're getting paid already by Ohio State, probably 10 million, 8 million. It's a big program. You're the top quarterback. I would expect 4 to 10 million. I would say for Julian, but for him, Jeremiah Smith is going to probably come out this year, so I would expect Julian Sane to stay another year because of because I would as a scout or just me myself, I would say like, hey, like let's see how you do without your safety blanket because I think people out there are just like noises chatter, probably like, hey, Jeremiah Smith is him, and let's just see how you do it without him. But he's gonna have Chris Henry. Like Ohio State's always gonna have pieces. They have Bo Jackson, the running back, where he's pretty good. He torched Michigan last year, so we'll see how he does in this year. But They have Chris Henry and a lot of wide receivers. Brandon Ennis. A lot of Ohio State guys online don't like Brandon Ennis. I don't know what's going on with that. Brandon Ennis is your guy. Stick with your wide receivers. I guess they had Smith and Jigba and Emmett Ibuka, and I guess Ennis isn't like those boys. So we'll see how just Sand does this year, but I don't expect Sand to come out. And then CJ Carr, pretty much the same thing, pretty much getting big NIL money, but Notre Dame had they had a last week, or I think it was 2 weeks ago, they had a quarterback commit to Notre Dame, but on the Pat McAfee show, I forgot what his name was. So I don't know if that has any inklings on if CJ Carr should come out this year. I know they have a redshirt freshman that's still there too. So I don't think, Dante Moore didn't affect him. You have Raiola still there. So I don't CJ Carr probably gonna stay another 2 years this year, next year with Notre Dame. So I wouldn't expect him to come out. But you also have Lenoris Sellers. We'll get into him. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks. Go check out my video on Lenoris Sellers if you haven't. But Dante, we'll get into him. Jaden Mayava, uh Arch, Darian Mensah, Kevin Jennings, Josh Hoover, Nico Imayava, Marcel Reed, Malik Washington. Malik Malik a sleeper, y'all. Hey, if y'all he has some really good flashes. That's all I'm gonna say about Malik. But Mike Loxley and what they have going on, he keeps his job with Maryland after signing a 5-star or no 5-star DN. They're like, hey, I can sign players, and Maryland was like, all right, we'll let you keep your job for another year. Let's see how you do with Malik and those boys. So yeah, Malik is just asleep. I think he's had some 400-yard passing games in some losing efforts, and then you have Damon Williams with Washington, who's still there. They keep him after he tries to go to LSU with Lane Kiffin, being like, "Hey, I want to come," but Washington was like, "No, you signed a contract like a week ago, bro. Like, why would you do this to?" That's just I don't like that at all. That he tried to leave this team out. If I was Washington, I know it's a new era of college football. I would have cut my ties with them and been like, "Hey, you can find another place to go because we don't want that over here." So they have to probably try to work that out with him in the off season. Get all like the team might not be bought in all the way to the quarterback, so it's up to the coach to be like, "Hey, if you're not all in with us, what happened? Like, hey, that's water under the bridge now. Let's move forward. And if you're not with us, you can kick rocks too." So they're riding with Damon Williams. He showed great flashes last year. That's why Lane wanted him. And then Sam Levitt is also he's very sneaky athletic, can fit the ball in tight places. We'll see how he does, but he's hurt and become in the beginning of the season. So Houston Longstreet, the transfer from USC, he'll be starting probably in the beginning of the season. Hopefully week 3 everything is cool with Sam Levitt, or Longstreet's playing good football to where we say, okay, like LSU and Ole Miss is going to be a great game. Like it's going to be cinema like we expected. Hopefully we're not getting like, oh, quarterbacks hurt here and there and that's. But then Ole Miss's quarterback, what is Trinidad Chambliss? Yeah, the quarterback where the state they fly his flag to hide the Confederate flag, was I would say let's just leave it at that. But Trinidad, we'll see. He's escapes the pocket, had a great semi playoff run, and what they did to beat Georgia and to who they lose to. They lost to Miami. They lost to Miami in those freaks out there, those fear mongers, but Trinidad, man, yeah, he just work on it. He reminds me of Russell Wilson a lot. Just his pocket movement, just getting outside the pocket. He can move away from defenders. So we'll see if he can clean that up a little bit, because you can't rely on that Johnny Manziel movement that he has in that pocket. So we'll see if I forgot what his name is, but the new Pete Golish, or not. It's not Golish, but Golding. I forgot what his name is, but the dude with the beard, gray beard, and he was the OC when Lane was there. So we'll see how Trinidad does this year. But he'll definitely be a sleeper in this year's draft class. But just so many names, man. I already said Darian Mensah. Like Yeah, and then Austin Simmons, the transfer from Ole Miss that went to Mississippi. A lot of people aren't talking about him because there's just so many quarterbacks. You just forget about some names. There might be some guys in the FCS we're not talking about that could be something, but that's just a big, real shot, like a long shot there. But yeah, Austin Simmons from and Austin. I mean, what they had over there in Mississippi, they weren't no slouches last year. I mean, Ahmad Hardy, rest up for him. Hopefully he gets ready for the season because he got shot in a concert in Mississippi. Shouldn't even be transferring. I mean, he shouldn't even be going to Mississippi, but that's where he's from. So he wanted to just go back home, which is cool. I can't say he can't go back home. But I'm just saying it is Mississippi. But like for me, there's no reason to go there. But yeah, Austin should have a great year, but let's get into some of these quarter. Let's start with Archie. Archie. So Arch Manning, he kind of doesn't remind me of none of his play reminds me of Baker Mayfield, but just his fieriness, his passion for the game. Because when you saw against like smaller competition last year, he was like dogging on people, which was like he got a lot of flack for that. Like, hey, like what are you doing? He was like flexing on the other opponent when it was like, hey, get when you face a Georgia or a Texas A&M, that's when you go to flex on those people and show what you're really about, not a UTEP or a San Jose State. Like, what are we doing? So, but when I don't know if this is y'all too, but when I watch him on screen, he's 6'4", 220. He looks small. Like he looks like 6'2", about like 200 pounds around there. So yeah, I know this is perception, but he's a big quarterback, which I didn't know. Coming into SEC media days, he was like trashing on Steve Spurrier. Didn't know who Steve Spurrier was because Steve Spurrier was like, "Hey, I don't know if the hype is warranted because he sat for 2 years and um, he's not really the quarterback we expected him to be." And then Arch was like, he fired back at him like, who's Steve Spurrier? And I'm like, can we just do a little history, dog? Like, god dang, like young gen, we need to do a little history. We need to go back a lot of history. I do it on all topics. Steve Spurrier, shout out him, won a Heisman at Florida, then coached for two chips at Florida, right? So he's a legend. He was a legend before Tim Tebow became the legend at Florida. So shout out to C Spurrier and what he's doing. But yeah, you can see that Arch has a little fieriness in him. So I don't think that's gonna hinder him, harp on him or nothing. But just the online chatter and because you see it with Baker a little bit, like, oh, like this guy, it hinders him and things like that. But then when Baker started cooking, it was like, oh, I can accept this. I like Baker now. A lot of people were like that. So shout out Arch and what he's doing. I got if he just has a Joe Burrow year, man, and what Texas is Texas is expecting out of their players because they got Cam Coleman, Hollywood Smothers, a lot of transfer portal pieces. I think is Malik Brown. I think that is a running back from Arizona State. They got him too, and then they're returning Wingo, so they're gonna be tough this year. We'll see how that defense does, and then Sark is kind of like put up or shut up. I wouldn't say he's on the hot seat, but those fans are kind of getting restless out there. Like, hey, we didn't make the playoffs last year. Let's see if we can just make the playoffs. It's kind of like me with USC a little bit. Like, let's make the playoffs and win some games. I don't want USC just to make it to the playoffs and just lose by like 40 or something, like 30 points when we get there. I want to actually like compete. Because I think the thing with USC fans right now is like, hey, like we just want to make it to the dance and just see what happens after. Like, no. Like, bro, this is a big year. Like, I get it. We got a lot of freshmen coming in, the number one freshman class, and a lot of pieces left last year because I feel like we just didn't develop them. Like, we had a linebacker transfer to Arizona, I think, but he visited a lot of other places and he was getting a lot of flack when he was taking those visits because he was a small linebacker, but he was like a freshman or a sophomore. But I'm like, that's kind of on Lincoln and all those guys. Like he had fieriness to him. He played with some passion. Like he wasn't no slouch on the field. Like his skinniness didn't hinder him at all. But it was just the flack that he was getting and everything like that. So, but I thought he could have been on Lincoln, could have been on him, but I wouldn't say like just the development at USC. Hopefully, it's there. So yeah, hopefully we're not just sending kids out because like, hey, like you're not, we don't see any improvement in you, so we're just gonna bounce you. But hopefully this freshman class is here to stay at USC. This is just like a little side note. But hopefully the freshman class is there to stay at USC and there to win some games. But yeah, Arch in Texas, hopefully they can win some games, but they're expecting some big things. And if he has a big year, hopefully he can probably move up to the number one spot. Um, that's probably what the imagine if he gets drafted to the Dolphins, him and Quinny. Him and Quinn Ewers, and then he gonna battle. Oh, that's gonna be funny. That'll be funny right there if he battles. And so, but yeah, the Jets. Hopefully, the Jets have a worse year than the Dolphins, so they can draft Arch first. I don't know, but yeah, and then Jaden Mayava, my QB man, coming into this year, he was a sleeper last year. Had a really strong start to the season last year. With USC's offense, it's always going to be high power, high scoring points offense, but with a lot in the big games like Illinois, Notre Dame, Oregon, you could see when late in the games he could kind of get. It's not I wouldn't say lackadaisical, but it's just like. Mm, I don't know, like the third downs, it's like he feels the pressure. I would say, like he feels the intensity of the game. You can see like his eyes get big, and that calm, cool collectiveness that he has throughout the game. You can see that kind of diminished when the game starts to get away from him. When we get behind in points, like he in the Notre Dame game, he threw some picks, but other than that, when he stands in the pocket, when him and Lincoln Riley are cooking, he's a really good quarterback. I would say I would put him third right now. I would have him third behind Dante and Arch. But when he gets outside the pocket, I feel like that's sometimes where it could get tricky. But he's really good, like on third downs during the game. Like he has been surgical, and that's when the pressure. I've seen him sometimes during third downs where he's like, okay, I got this, and he makes some tough throws on a third and long where I don't even think he could do it. Like I'm like, all right, this is about to be a fourth down. We're about to punt, and it's no, he's striking in there. So he's definitely a striker when he stands in that pocket, gets ready pressure wise, when the pressure's on him, I feel like he can stand with the pressure and laser a ball through the pressure. So we'll see how he does this year. Cardinals, I would have him as a spot right there. CBS Sports got it right with him. And then Darian Mensa, like I said, kind of with Arch, if he has, because they're expecting Miami's offense to be high powered, a lot of points, better than last year because you have Carson Beck, and Carson Beck was limited to what the offense could do with Mark. They ran the offense kind of through Mark Fletcher, like have short passes here and there with their wide receivers. Like only long balls would probably be like through to the touchdown. Like you saw that one pass in the beginning of the year, I think it was against Notre Dame, where CJ Daniels made that crazy catch. Like that was out of the ordinary, and that could have been picked. But Carson Beck, he kind of keeps it safe with the short passes. You won't see him go long, and hopefully Arizona works to his strengths this year. I think they got Gardner Minshew in there, and then Jacoby Brissett. We'll see who starts the year, but yeah, we'll see. Why was I talking about Carson Beck? I don't even know. Oh yeah, Darian Mensa. I'm sorry, but yeah, Darian Mensa. So, yeah, with Darian Mensa now, he's definitely gonna high power the offense because with Duke, you saw him throw the long ball. Tulane was with Tulane for a minute. He's got the long ball to his game, and working with Malachi Tony, he's for sure he's bringing in one of his other Duke receivers, and they're definitely going to put up points this year. And then they're also returning Mark Fletcher and then Jackson Cantwell on the line too. Oh my gosh, it's going to be absolutely filthy. Like Mark Fletcher, I thought he was going to go to the just with how he looks. He's got like a full grown beard. His dreads kind of looking like Kawhi Leonard's not really done, or he looked like a grown man out there. But I thought Mark was going to go out to the draft this year. He stays for another year with Miami, so that's pretty good for Miami's offense. And you have Jackson Cantwell, who's looking like Jonathan Ogden out there. Just can't nobody's moving him. Like you have Jason Taylor just like coaching up guys on the the end side, and Jackson's just there like not moving him, and Jason's like, "Hey, do something!" Like, Jason, they ain't moving this boy. Like, you ain't getting past Jackson, okay? So they're pretty much set on the O line. I would say after losing Markel Bell and some of their pieces from Muiaga, I think it is, losing him last year. And then Lenoris Sellers, man. Lenoris is my sleeper. Hopefully they can put it all together with South Carolina this year, because I have high hopes in what he's gonna do this year. Because if you saw the Virginia Tech game or just going into last year, like he shrugs off D ends like it's nothing. Like like it's a video game. This dude will run the ball, run the rock. Like when he gets outside the pocket, he is special when he gets outside that pocket. But if they could put it all together on the offensive line, because that really hindered him last year in a lot of their games, where that's where a lot of the losses started from, was the line couldn't hold up when he's trying to get it to his receivers. And then if Nick Harbor can have a big year, put it all together, like had that one catch at Texas A&M, he 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 like sprinted through everybody. Like you saw the speed break through, and he got to the touchdown. That's when the cop was like all tripping on South Carolina. Like he was on a power trip or whatever. But yeah, if he can have like 14 touchdowns like that this year, just be a great wide receiver for Lenoir Sellers. I know some of their own linemen got hurt this year. That's not looking good. Jacarius Peak and some other boys. So hopefully, some boys can step up and be like, "Hey, we got you, Lenoir." It's like, "Hey, I'll die for you." So that's what we need, the energy over there in South Carolina. I know they're bringing Dylan Stewart. Dylan Stewart, that freshman season was insane. This dude was going crazy on everybody. I was like, my gosh, this is something to see. This boy was a true freshman, just looking like a, god out there. But yeah, like all these quarterbacks, man, coming out this year. A Mateer, Stockton, I didn't get into a little bit. Georgia, with him, I feel like Stockton, where he's at right now. I don't think he's going to get any better or any worse. I think he puts it all on the line for Georgia, like you saw it with the Tennessee game last year. He's going to lay his body out on the line for Georgia, and just to get the wins. And I don't think I think he's going to return that way coming into this year, being like lay it out on the line for Georgia. But I don't think he could get any better. Like this is where he's gonna stay at. We'll see how he does this year. But I feel like he could be a really good backup quarterback for a team. I don't think, because it's just no. I think his ceiling's already hit. So we'll see how he does. And then Mateer with Oklahoma, he should have a better year going into this year, after he broke his hand going into last year. It hindered him in the Texas game. And then you saw their running backs. The running backs didn't really perform how they wanted to. They didn't even play Jaden Ott after getting him from the transfer portal, and Oklahoma fans had a really big expectation on what uh John or Jay Knott could be in that offense, and they said he couldn't. A lot of the reports were saying he couldn't pass block. He wasn't getting along with some of the teammates, I guess, or it wasn't really gelling there. But Mateer was like, "Hey, like we're helping him out through whatever." But I feel like they wanted him to be an old lineman, y'all. Like I get it. I get it. Running backs have to pass block, like you saw with Ty Simpson last year, and their running back, forgot who it was, but when Jam Miller got hurt, you saw the difference it made with Alabama's offense and how he couldn't pass block. But I'm saying you could use him in some like running situations. He didn't have to have no playing time or whatever, for him to get like barely any touches this year, and for what the expectation was for him, because he had 1,000 yards at Cal and didn't really even barely even touch 100, I think, or barely even 200 at Oklahoma, just because he couldn't pass block. Just like it's crazy to me. But we'll see how Mateer does in their running offense. But we'll get into what CBS has to say about these boys, about what's going into this draft class. But if you like that, go ahead and do all the YouTubers say. I ain't gonna say it. Let's get into it.
Ryan Wilson's back to work with his inaugural 2027 mock draft. And before you get at him in the mentions, our expert operating objectively, his draft order reflecting the longest odds to win this season's Super Bowl. Path to the draft is presented by Jeep. There's only one. There's also only one Ryan Wilson, and we say hello to the man with the thankless
What
task.
up,
But
Ryan?
the dust has barely settled, Ryan, so let's get to it. Who doesn't love a way too early mock? An obvious 1-1 staring us down as we had the conversation face to face a day ago. But football royalty is going to be hard to pass up on. QB is always a need at the top of these drafts. Detail Dante Moore's path to the top pick.
Hey, Joey, good to see you as always. And I don't imagine this will cause any consternation among the social media folks or generally people online. But I have Dante Moore as going first in this mock draft. And this is less about the teams necessarily they're associated with and just in the order in which I would have them ranked right now. Dante Moore would have been the second overall pick had he stayed in the 2026 NFL draft. He showed
1000%. But the thing is with him, like Dante Moore, like he could, I don't know if it was the Jets situation or Oregon just wanted him to stay another year, but it- with him coming into next year, like, hey, like whoever you go to next year, because you're going to be a top pick, like they're not going to have the pieces or the O line you had at Oregon, you know. So we'll see how that hinders his decision. Like I don't think Dante, if Dante and Arch going to try to pick their teams next year. Hey, I can't have it. Like if we gonna cater to the players in the NFL, I know we do that in the NBA a little bit, but to for them to be picking where they're drafted, like, because I hear in some reports saying like, oh, he could pull Eli Manning and pick where he wants to go. He could pick the Steelers, but I don't think that could happen. So let's
return
see
to
what they
school.
say.
Had Arch Manning decided to come out, I don't think he would have been the number 2 pick based on the way he played. So knowing that, and given the way the season ended for Oregon and Dante Moore, I have him going as my QB1. And then after that, let's check notes here. Arch Manning is the next quarterback off the board. And Joe, I said it all the time during the fall.
Hold on, real quick. I'm gonna give you my rankings real quick because y'all gonna be like, "Oh, you just copying this dude or whatever." No, 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 no. I have my So I'm gonna go Dante one just off rip. I know as a USC fan, I shouldn't really do that. I should have in my heart though, in my heart, I got my Iowa one. You know what I'm saying? So this is just like the national rankings, I guess I would say, like in my eyes. But Dante, I'll put Dante one. I'm gonna go Myava two, Arch three, Lenoris four, just off potential. I'm gonna go Darian Menta five. If he has a bigger year, we could see. Marcel. Oh, I didn't talk about Marcel Reed, y'all. I did not talk about Marcel Reed. I'm sorry, Marcel. Give me a sec. I'm gonna talk about Marcel Reed real quick, okay? Just don't, or you can skip past this part wherever you find it. But Marcel Reed, man, just a lot of people. He got a lot of hate. How the season ended last year against the Miami game. It was really windy. They couldn't do anything with their offense last year. But I thought he had a really solid year. I know Texas A&M schedule is very weird. To me, it's not a real SEC schedule. To me, you don't play at Georgia. You play Texas at the end of the year. Do you play Alabama? Sometimes I guess sometimes you play Alabama. Like it's just real weird. They're always playing the Mizzous, the Kentuckys, the Arkansas, like the smaller SEC schools, or I wouldn't, yeah, the smaller ones. But or not Lenore's, Marcel Reed, I feel like if he puts it all together this year, he could be a really special quarterback with what Texas A&M has going on. And then if they could beat Texas this year, that's the hurdle they have to go through because they can't be 0-3 to Texas. It would just be a hinder to them, kind of like this rivalry started about 2 years ago. I would say it ended 40 years, or they didn't do the rivalries for about 40 years, but those two programs do hate each other. There's real hate there. So if Marcel Reed, if he can beat Texas, I think the national media will kind of be on his side because I remember a lot of comments, a lot of ex people were just hating him. I don't know if it was because he's like a black quarterback and he just he's special, he cool. Hi, how you doing? There ain't no other stuff in his game, but yeah, I like Marcel Reed because he grew up with well, you hear Kirk Herbstreit talk about him all the time and how he's a great quarterback and seeing how he is and he knew his father. But we'll see. They got some transfer portal pieces. I'm pretty sure one wide receiver from Alabama, so we'll see how he does this year. But yeah, a lot of people aren't talking about him when he had a really decent year last year, and a lot of people were talking down on him like he had a bad year, like James Franklin or something. Like they just lost all these games. Like they were 11-0 at one point. I know it was lower competition in the SEC, but still, you got to give that some credit. And I know the defense was great too, Cassius Howe and what those boys were doing on the defensive line. But yeah, they beat LSU badly last year, so we'll see how Marcel does. But yes, sir.
And I will repeat it until I'm proven otherwise. If his name was not Arch Manning but Arch Williams, we would not be having this.
Oh, I didn't finish my list. So let me finish my list. My list is Dante, Mayava, Arch, Lenoris. Dante, Mayava, Arch, Lenoris, Darian, Marcel, John Mateer, and Stockton are like 7B, 7A. So yeah, that's my list.
Based on the pedigree. And I do understand that bloodlines are important, but the other thing for me to keep in mind when it comes to Arch is that he played some truly average to below average football for the first 2/3 of that season. And then the last few games, he played pretty well like he thought he was going to play. Dante Moore, I thought, was certainly much more consistent, not as big, probably has a
And definitely Dante Moore returning because of how he finished the last year's season with Indiana, doesn't go how they wanted it to go. So I would definitely return after that because they ate him up for lunch last year and they couldn't get anything going on offense. So hopefully, USC can stop him this year and the defense is changed around with Gary Patterson. I know USC has a lot to work on, man, but that week 4 game, man, please. I'm gonna be live streaming that game, y'all. If y'all gonna tune in with me, if y'all subscribe, man, we gonna live stream that game. We gonna turn up, man. It's gonna be a good time. Probably gonna have some wings, we're gonna eat some wings. Just watch Lincoln Riley, blow the USC aura away, He's gonna take it all away. Hopefully he doesn't. But the my hope is if it doesn't pan out with Lincoln Riley, we get Urban Meyer in there. Urban wants a coach again. I know he does, and that's the coach we need. Because if y'all saw the Florida documentary, he coaches his players hard, and that's what we need in LA right now. Coach the players hard, and don't give them what they want. Don't give them the world. Don't give them LA culture. No, 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 no. You have to earn it before you get it. So I
as
need
we go
Urban in
on,
there,
we'll
or I
find
need
out.
some
And
change
Urban is
in
athletic,
Lincoln.
so that's why I have him slightly ahead of Arch here, at least as we sit here in late April.
The one thing that's incalculable to factor into your work from now till then is what do the Mannings want? Because that's also a wrinkle to this one. It's Arch at 2.
The thing is about Arch, I'm sorry I'm pausing it so much, y'all. I shouldn't pause it so much, but yeah, the thing with Arch and the Mannings, like Eli doesn't give him the advice I thought he would give him. Like, I feel like he's standoffish as an uncle. I would be more on Arch because if y'all didn't, I didn't watch the whole thing, but Eli was on Bussin' with the Boys, Will Compton and what's his name, Taylor Lewan's podcast, and so he was talking about how he doesn't go out of his way to talk to Arch. He will let Arch come to him and be like, "Hey, if Arch has questions, I'll answer him or whatever." But you were an NFL quarterback, won 2 Super Bowls, and this dude's at Texas, one of the top premier programs in the country, like has all the pressure on the world. You should just be giving his advice. Like I know sometimes, like some kids, like I feel like Arch kind of he can be a little introverted a little bit. I feel that's just my inklings when I watch him on the field. He could be a little introverted. That's why last year he has to work through that. He has to be more outroverted with his team and everything. But yeah, like Eli should help him. This is what I see through your games, and this is what Eli said. No, like if he has a bad game or whatever, I let him to come to me afterwards. He might not say nothing to you, Eli, like after a bad game, because he's just like, dang, like I just want to go through the motions and everything. But no, like hopefully Peyton's in there, helping him, like seeing his reads or whatever. But Eli said, yeah, the only time I really like text him if I see Sark grilling at him, getting in his head or whatever, and that's when he says like I'll text him, hey, did you miss this read, and that's why Sark got at you or whatever. Like no, 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 bro, help him through everything. That's what I want to hear from Eli. But Eli's a little different, little sus, but yeah.
To the Jets in this first mock, and I want to delve a little deeper here because there are a couple angles to come at it. If they're picking second, there's likely a new head coach, maybe all the more incentives for the Mannings to really tailor that situation the way they want. But Arch could also have all the leverage in the world as an NIL cash cow. I'm not playing for insert team name here is always a possibility, I guess is what I'm alluding to here. What has to happen to get these two to the altar together?
Well, here's the
Leave
other
me
issue
at
with
the
the
altar
Jets.
in
They have
your
3
wine
first-round picks
dress.
in 2027, just as
Can
they
you
did in
get no
2026. So they
younger
could
or
conceivably be at pick
something?
20 If they have a great season, Aaron Glenn could
Asking
return, and then we have to have the
Mary.
tougher conversation, Joe, where where the Mannings, if they do not want to go to the Jets, have to announce, do not trade up for us because
Bro, come on, gang. Like, don't do that. Don't do that, Mannings. Come on. But yeah, the roster is looking really good. The two tight ends, Mason Taylor, Kenya Sadiq, Omar Cooper, the wide receivers, Garrett Wilson. The only hinder I see on this is Geno Smith at the quarterback position, but that's gonna change in the year. Hopefully Braylon Allen can put it all together so him and Brees Hall can be a 1-2 punch in the backfield. So yeah, Jets, it's looking up for the offense right now. They made some really good decisions this draft too. So we'll see if
he
they
did
become
not
a
want to make that
playoff
happen,
team.
which is what's pretty much what his uncle did back in 2004 when Eli Manning told the Chargers that, and the Chargers said, "Hey, watch this and let's see what happens." But I think the Jets obviously would be a landing spot. I know they drafted Cade Klubnik in round 4. I don't think anyone, including Cade, imagines that he's going to be the penciled-in day one starter to begin 2027. So I think the Jets make sense. And look, based on the way this draft went, it felt very un-Jets-like in that they crushed it. Now to parlay that into good football, and that's where the disconnect has become. The Jets have had good drafts in previous years. Sauce Gardner, Garrett Williams, Garrett Wilson, and Jermaine Johnson not that long ago, but the results have not shown up on the field. And the other thing that I'm actually sort of curious about, Joe, Arch can choose to say, I don't want to go here or there. That's certainly his right.
We should have won it that year. I think Smith and Jigba. It was supposed to be Smith and Jigba and Reek Woolen that year for sure, but they gave it to stupid Sauce Gardner or whatever because he was hyped up.
But typically,
Now
teams
he
that are going to be
nothing.
picking him are going to be truly terrible
Now he
teams.
already
Now,
traded,
I
bro.
suppose he could say, I only want to go to the Pittsburgh
Reek
Steelers, for
Woolen traded. I
example,
mean,
but I don't know how
yeah.
it's going to play.
Trending in the wrong direction, those Pittsburgh Steelers this offseason, but we don't have to get personal. I know how you feel about it all, Ryan Wilson. 6 quarterbacks in.
Oh, like the Steelers, like my grandfather is a Steelers fan, so I got, history ties. Everybody knows the Steelers fan in their family. Everybody knows the Steelers fan in their family. But yeah, I got a special place in my heart for the Steelers and just what they did in the 70s, building up the NFL. It was pretty much they were like the Bulls of the NFL. The Steelers were in the 70s, just Mean Joe Green, Terry Bradshaw, Franco Harris, Lynn Swan, Jack. Who's their two linebackers? The two crazy white boys. I forgot what their names was, but they were crazy. Jack Ham, I think it was, and Lambert back there just crushing people's heads in. Ooh, good Lord, what a great era of football. But just to see where they were now, where they were then, and just to for them to be waiting on Aaron Rodgers every year, like where do we fall? Where do we fall every year? We don't even spend that type of money in the offseason to get those type of players. Like if I saw Ruben Bain, if I was the Steelers, I'm trading up draft picks to get him. He looks like a Steeler. He looks like a Raider. If I see players that look for my team are just gonna change the tone of my team, I'm gonna trade for them. It's just simple as that. Like, or if the players aren't performing how they were, hey, you don't have to go. But they do get Jeremy Bernard up in there. Michael Pittman. I don't know if Michael Pittman's like a game changer for you. And I think they have a Chargers problem right now because Jeremy Bernard's about like 6'4", 6'5", not a speedy wide receiver. Gainwell's not a speedy back. I would say he's here and there. I think Gainwell even left though. I'm not sure about that. I don't think they keep him. But the thing with the Chargers, they drafted there was a draft with Zay Flowers on it, and then I think it was Quentin. They drafted Quentin Johnson, and it was like Zay Flowers was the pick for the Chargers. You already have Keenan Allen, who's a 6'4", 6'5" wide receiver. You draft another 6'4", 6'5" wide receiver. Like, are you trying to get better, or like what you think everybody you're just gonna moss everybody that whole game? No, the pick was Zay Flowers. You needed a speedy wide receiver in the offense, and I think the Steelers need a speedy wide receiver in their offense. So I don't know if they go after Tyreek Hill in a sense like that, but you saw with Antonio Brown, he was shifty, speed. He wasn't the fastest guy on this field, but he knew how to get open. And I think that's what the Steelers need, not these big wide receivers where you think it's going to be a 50-50 ball each time. So hopefully Michael Pittman can get open for that offense, but I don't know he's going to be a game changer. Like Jeremy Bernard, he's kind of like what I said with Stockton, coming day one and just be himself, not going to get any. I think he's hit his ceiling. Maybe there's like a little step that he could take probably in his game, but not like Jamar Chase or nothing like that. So we'll see. how the Steelers do this year with their with their pieces that they picked up.
Your first round in this mock, a far cry from this last class that we saw. Is that need-based analysis in your eyes, or more of an actual reflection of this talent pool in this class?
I'm giggling to myself because every year this time we say, hey, watch till next year when we have 6 or 7 or 8 guys go.
Bro, I didn't even talk about Nico. Like, bro, I didn't even talk about Nico. But this is crazy. This is a crazy like uh he thinks all these quarterbacks are going to go in the first round. Nico going before Lenora Sellers, he has to have like a crazy year, but he did have some decent games, did fit. I think it's just the roster around him wasn't that good, but Bob Chesney's in there now and they have a strong 2027 class coming in there. I don't know how strong their transfer portal was this year. I know a lot of their pieces did stay. So we'll see how Bob Chesney tries to change around that program. But a lot of the fans last year wanted Rick Neuhausel's son to be the head coach, and they didn't keep him. He goes somewhere else. Was really doing really good with that offense in some games, and then it kind of stalls out later down the season. Uh, but he takes that offense kind of from Chip Kelly. It's from a little Chip Kelly playbook. Some other people. But yeah, we'll see how Nico. I don't think Nico's gonna be a first rounder. Probably a fourth rounder here, maybe a fourth rounder, third rounder in there, like a Byron Brown. I think he's probably gonna go the same. It's gonna be real exciting where quarterbacks go next year, man, in the draft. So I can't wait for next year's draft. But John Matier to the Bucks. That would be if the Bucks draft a first round quarterback, that will be kind of crazy because I don't know if y'all have seen the movie Draft Day, but in the movie Draft Day, Kevin Costner is talking to the Seahawks general manager, and they're like, "Hey, like Kevin Costner is like, what's going to happen if you trade your franchise QB right now for Bo, the Oklahoma quarterback? Like he was supposed to be the number one pick in the movie." And a lot of Seahawks fans were like getting mad, or he was looking out. The Seahawks general manager was looking outside his window. He saw all the fans were getting mad at him for the pick he made or like trading the pick or whatever. So I wonder how much in real life that hinders like general managers and things like that. Like, does it like do the fans get into general managers' head? Does it stop general managers from making decisions like, hey, like we can't make this decision because our fans won't buy into the program. But if it's a better decision for our program, like I can't like Jared Goff in a sense. I feel like the Lions need to make a move on him because I don't think the closest they got to a championship with Jared Goff was the NFC Championship game 2 years ago, and I think that's the closest they are going to get. They're up by 14 to the 49ers and they blew the lead. I don't think it's going to happen for them again, so they should look at another quarterback or trade, Jared Goff in there. But as I said again, it might hinder him because the fans are bought into Jared Goff, Jared Goff, Jared Goff. They say it every game. They're into him, but they might have to trade. Like that's the thing. The Lions may be like he's not gonna get us to the place we want to go, so we might have to trade him. So I don't know if that hinders any. I don't know if the fans hinder any of the general managers' um decisions in there. So but yeah, I don't think a lot of these, maybe 3 or 4 quarterbacks go in the first round this year, maybe 5. And probably 6 or 5, I would say. Maybe some teams trade in, see what happens. But the Jets have a lot of picks this year. I know that, and they did last year.
Some of this is projection. So Dante Moore returned. We know he could have come out, as could Arch. Jaden Mayava could have come out as well out of USC. I was incredible. I had a first round grade on him had he decided to come out. So I still have high hopes for him. Nico Iamaleava, we talked more about him at Tennessee than at UCLA last year. But when you watch him at UCLA, he actually was pretty good. The team was not very good. John Matier was a fun story leaving Washington State to Oklahoma. Then
My eyes are watery. I'm not crying. My eyes are watery, bro.
Primarily because of the
I don't know why.
and then
I don't know why.
Mensa
It's just
is the next in line to transfer
so much good quarterbacks, man. I just
potentially be a high round pick.
love to see it.
Cam Ward here. We know about Carson Beck yesterday, this weekend, and now Darian Mensa could be that next quarterback to go. The other thing, there are going to be more names, Joe. There's Josh Hoover. There's Brandon Sorsby. They're the 2 quarterbacks.
Oh, Sorsby. Good luck, buddy. I don't know what's gonna happen with you. See, the thing is with Sorsby, like how do you not think he's gonna bet in the league too? Like he has to get suspended in the league too. So hopefully he's going through programs right now. I know there was something just came out on Sorsby. Let me just read it to y'all real quick if I can pull it up. Okay, here we go. Okay, okay. The NCAA has not received a reinstatement request for this case. The NCAA generally doesn't comment on pending reinstatement requests, but the Associated Sports betting rules are clear, as are the reinstatement conditions. When it comes to betting on one's team, these rules must be enforced in every case for the simple reason that the integrity of the game is at risk. Wow. So definitely looking like he won't even have a shot in the NFL because it puts the NFL at risk too. And if you have a player like that, he is suspect because a lot of the fans are going to be questioning in the back of their mind: did he bet on this game? If he has a bad game, 4-pick game, oh, did he bet on it? And you don't want that for the NFL. You don't want it to be like the NBA where we're questioning every, why? How did the Dallas Mavericks get this pick? Or who's ending up with the number one pick this year? And you already hear the Wizards are trying to trade out the pick, and the Utah is going to get the pick to get AJ Debance. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but we'll see. But yeah, it was like Dallas trading Luka last year and then getting Cooper Flag right back. It's just insane. That's a little sus to me. I don't care what nobody says. It's just sus. Okay.
One at Notre Dame and then one at
But shout out Luka. I love
State
Luka,
in
man.
Ohio
He's on my
State.
team.
So
I don't hate him.
if you talk to everybody, Pete Prisco, 14
Love
quarterbacks are
Luka.
going round one. 6 feels high. We'll probably get 3.5 to 4.5. That's the biggest number I'll put on it.
Statistically speaking, about 1 in every 4 sees a second contract, first-round drafted quarterbacks, that is. Let's pepper the board and see what sticks, I guess, is always going to be the approach.
1 in 4
is the need, and
see the second. That's
the league.
That's crazy.
Quarterback play is something we always want to see. Let's move beyond the quarterbacks because I don't think it's a stretch to say.
All right, we're not here to talk about J-Mo. Okay, J-Mo going to get it done though. Shout out J-Mo, what he's got going on. But that is it for this video, y'all. Let me know where you're coming from, where you guys are at, and who you got as your top quarterbacks in this year's draft. Let me get your list. But yeah, if you tuned in for all this video, I thank you so much. Do what all the YouTubers say I'm not gonna say.